Hello and welcome to another episode of Ask the Expert. I'm Kayla McGowan, editor-in-chief, and today we're diving into technology-driven growth in our beautiful industry. Today's special guest is James Hatfield, and he is the CRO at LiveSwitch. He has extensive expertise in sales, leadership, and business innovation. He also has extensive experience working with entrepreneurs, small businesses, and Fortune 500 companies. And last but certainly not least, on his jacket of things, he has an entrepreneurial background and he's founded his own painting and power washing company in the past. So without further ado, please welcome James.
Kayla, thanks for having me. Happy to be here. Looking forward to the conversation. Be a lot of fun.
Yes, let's have some fun. I know we were talking a little bit before we signed on. I'm super excited for this, just kind of to dive into what you know and what you can share with our industry. So, I just kind of listed a couple of things about you. And we were talking about this, like, there's it's so hard to do yourself justice, right? And so I really wanted to take the opportunity on this episode to really dive into your expertise and your background and kind of give our industry just a little bit of a different viewpoint and how they can help the industry evolve. So, yes, you're in technology, but you've always been in the industry, maybe in a different capacity. So, there's lessons that have been learned along this journey of yours, if you will. So what are some of the most critical operational bottlenecks that you faced early in your business? And how could have real-time live assessment or technology in general have helped you overcome them?
Well, I don't even know if they're connected, but I'll tell you the problem we all have as business owners or anything with this is we have these people things called people. It's tough, right? Like to get people to come to work, to get people to do quality work, to do the right thing, to work together, to be a team. Are the hardest part of any business that I've ever been a part of, even my current business, anything I've started or gone is learning how to really work with your team, how to get the right people on the team. Also, how to get rid of people when they're not right for the team, and really be that leader that leads in front when you need to, leads behind, really makes himself redundant. And I don't think that has anything to do with live communication or video, really, although there are some things around communication we're going to talk about because communication and handoff in our communicating across the team is quite important. But ultimately, the biggest bottleneck, it's got to be growing the people and finding the right people for the team.
And also utilizing the right tools, right? I think that's the other thing. Sometimes I think we see in the lay of land, I don't know how much you guys see it because you are tech. So you have to have people who are very creative and hands-on. But I know sometimes in our industry, we have a hard time communicating with the different generations. And sometimes it's technology based, sometimes it's not technology based. And so, I think it's pretty interesting that you mentioned that it's the people, it's not usually the tools, right? I think that's the other thing is like, very relatable. Most people do see bottlenecks there. I think culture is a really big topic right now as well, because that feeds into your communication, your camaraderie, everything that makes your team solid. So that's a very interesting answer. I really do like that though, because most times bottlenecking, if we think about it and we're talking about technology, it's usually implementation. But if you don't have the right team, you wouldn't even get to the opportunity to start implementing, right?
That's right. And as a tech company, our mission statement is not one you'd probably think of for a tech company. It's human connection. Really making that human connection, whether it's across a team or across the table with the customer, that human connection, especially in restoration, right? When someone is experiencing loss, they're not having a good time. Have you ever had a happy caller to your restoration company? Probably not. Like, oh, you're never going to believe this, but I have an awesome fire going on in my kitchen right now. Like, that doesn't happen. They're
Yeah.
very upset. And in fact, they might have never experienced some of these things. And it's like DEF CON 5, right? And it's just the toilet leaking. You're like, it's not DEF CON 5. I understand there's water on your floor. And I understand, but sometimes it is DEF CON 5. You're like, yeah, you got a grease fire and that's really bad, and so it's like, it's not that big of a problem. Have you ever heard that on the phone? Then you show up, and you're like, dude, you got like 8 inches of water in the basement, man. Come on, dude, this is a big deal, so being able to see things, being able to connect on that human level, like, hey, I've seen this before. Don't you worry. Like, we got you. Those kind of things can make all the difference when people are not happy.
Yeah, and I would definitely say being able to have that opportunity to be voice of reason, if you will, like peace of mind. And to your point, no one's calling you like laughing that they're having an emergency, right? In fact, they're probably actually really scared to even call you because they probably don't know anything about you other than they found you on the internet or maybe word of mouth or something. And so coming in there and kind of playing damage control and just that voice of reason for your customer makes all the difference. And, you know, with that being said, you guys have instant, visualization tools there at LiveSwitch. So how has that changed the customer's trust, your job coding accuracy, and project timelines in restoration businesses? You kind of mentioned, some things that you can see, but can you kind of dive into like the customer trust side and like how it helps teams become more accurate, but also just the timelines for businesses, right? To your point, if you can see that, hey, we need to send in all the cavalry, you can do it from time one, not, hey, we got here, we actually need everybody. So you're saving time and money as well as resources.
Yeah, so I think, when you can see something, it changes everything. As they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words, well, video's worth 10,000, right? And being able to connect and see what's going on as quickly as possible matters. When people are experiencing loss, it's how fast can you come fix it? When can you get here, right? Especially if it's a corporate or a business, right? Like that's their revenue, that's their baby. If their building's down, maybe they're stopping the production line. It's definitely DEFCON 5 for them. And they just, as much as they love you and maybe you've done work for them before, if you can't get out there fast enough, they've got to move on, right? So being able to get to see things as fast as possible, connect with that person as fast as possible, and make the right decision on dispatch and who's going out and when is going to make all difference, especially during like named storms, during emergencies. And yes, I know the dirty secrets, and I know when there's a named storm and there's tons coming in, you pick and choose your deals and the which ones that are going to make the most sense for you from the financial side. I totally get it. And of course, we're trying to help families. We're trying to restore, order to our towns. But, at times we also do run a business. So being able to get your eyes on the situation to make those decisions means everything. And also for callbacks, for when there's an issue on site, maybe something unexpected is going to change the timeline or the budget. Being able to see those things, record those things, pass them on, whether to its insurance, whether it's to the organization, whether it's to the individual, these things all matter. Speed to lead, right? Race to the face is what we like to call it because we want human connection. And you're on the clock. There's a little company out there called Amazon, which has ruined us all. I know everyone listening is probably a Prime member because why? You don't have to be a Prime member. You can wait 2 weeks for your packages. I remember it was those 2 days. Now you get the option same day, hourly, overnight. We want it faster, faster, faster. We have no patience. So we are not exempt in our home services from that. You are on the clock. And then, yes, you might have 700 five-star reviews, but if you're not fast enough, the person with the 500-star reviews is going to take your business, right? And so these are the kind of things that we'll talk more about and how we got to this situation and what kind of solutions you can put in your hand. But the modernization and being able to start using the video cameras that we find in our pockets now that we all have smartphones. I think they give you one when you're born. We want to tap into those and really get our eyes on the situation as fast as possible.
Yeah, I would definitely say you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. We're just in that era of instant gratification. Like we have the Amazon, instance to keep up with. Now we have Walmart and Vons and Target and just everybody jumping in on that bandwagon of, hey, you can get it same day. Hey, you can get it in 2 hours if you finish your order in the next 24 minutes. And so that's kind of what we're up against, even though we're in a different type of service world, if you will. But to your point, if we don't meet expectations, they're moving on.
That's
We would
right.
do the same thing, right? We're consumers too. So we also have that instant gratification bone too. And so we need to put that lens on for a second and understand, okay, if this were me and I were calling for help or needed something, roadside assistance, whatever, I would expect it to be immediately, right? And so giving us the power of technology and utilizing the things that we all already carry makes the most sense, right? And so I think you getting here is from what happened in your previous professional life, right? So I mentioned you owned your own painting and power washing business. So, what lessons did you learn there when you were scaling your business, and how can it be applied to help tech developers better understand the real world needs, like we were just talking about, of our field technicians and estimators, right? Because it's not just starting at the phone call. It affects the entire team. So can you kind of talk about, some of those lessons you learned when scaling?
Yeah. So when it comes to running a home service company and the different types of folks that you have on your team, you meet them where they are from a technology point of view, right? In fact, a lot of times home services businesses are called the knuckle draggers of technology, right? And I don't agree with that at all. Actually, I think that's a cop out for tech companies to give themselves an excuse. We are always challenged to make things easy. When I was running my home service companies, the technology I loved the most was a Nextel walkie-talkie, if you remember those, because I could talk to any of my staff quickly and fast. I don't even know what happened to those things. I loved that Nextel walkie-talkie. But when we approached and we started to invent what we have, it reminded me now we're using like the Nextel walkie-talkie, but with our eyes. So being able to connect quickly matters, but it also is about simplicity. We tech people make stuff so dang hard. You know why? Because engineers love to over-engineer things. The good news is I used to live my life on a ladder. So I'm always challenging my tech guys and I make fun of them. I'm like, you guys all have soft hands. You don't know what it is to spend life on a ladder. Now, I don't know how to code, but whatever, right? But the problem is you don't know a person. Like I want to design my tools for my people, right? I don't give my
Mhm.
carpenters rusty hammers. And we like one-click solutions. This is what my teams have always loved in home services is I want to click the next walkie-talkie button. Now I want to start the truck with one touch. I want to start my paint sprayer with one pull. I want everything to be purpose built because I work with my hands, right? So everything that we like to design for is with simplicity in mind, simplicity for the users and simplicity for the customers. Everything for us is one tap. If it's more than one click, forget about it. I don't want to scroll through all this stuff. I don't want to tap tons of buttons. I don't want to go through your university course to learn. That's why no one uses it. Like, so I can literally train you on our stuff in a minute. If you can send a text message, you can send it. If you can tap a text, you can use it. Like, that's what it's all about. And it has nothing to do with knuckle draggers. That has everything to do with thoughtful design for our tools.
Yeah, and I would definitely say too, I think to your point, trades are usually the last ones to pick up technology, and it's because it usually involves more interruption than problem solving for us. And so to your point, like if we can't do it in one motion, chances are we're going to get frustrated because it's adding additional layers to our already hectic, crazy schedules. And if we have to take the time out of the day to actually learn it, it's going to be later down the road if we ever even get to it, if I'm being quite honest. And so, I think that on both ends of the spectrum as far as like being in the field and now introducing tech. And so I think, that's really huge because it can be easy to your point, right? Like you said, your engineers over engineer things. True, that does happen, right? Sometimes that happens in our space too. Like we could be over technical, right? And then it's like, oh, hold on just a second. We actually need to talk more in layman's terms, right? And the reason is because we're in a different world than our consumer is, right? Even us talking to tech, sometimes we're in a different world than what is even possible in tech, right? Like we need to learn how to ask the right questions to get the right answers. And so I think it's extremely important that, we do really focus in on what you just said. You're designing your guys' products for simplicity and ease of use, and it's non-interruptive, right? And that's extremely important. And I think with more and more solutions coming to, the industry that way, the more susceptible we will be here in the trade side of things, not just restoration. I mean, everything, HVAC, plumbing, even indoor air quality. I think we're just usually the last ones to adapt these things because it does interrupt us in our day-to-day job so frequently.
Yeah.
Um, which is cool to hear. You actually said like to turn on your car or one press, which I had never really thought of that. Like, gosh, yeah, we're really spoiled. Like we can just sit in our car. We don't even have to put a key in and turn it and all that. We don't have to do that anymore.
That's right.
Um,
Like the
it's
most
wild.
elegant technology is the easiest thing to use. Like when the phone originally came out, right? All you had to do was it started ringing an annoying noise, and all you had to do to learn it to shut that thing up was to pick it up, right? And then it solved a problem. Now I'm talking to someone. It's beautiful. The light switch, right? You turn it
Yeah.
on, light, unbelievable. You don't need to know all the complicated things. Like when I touch the button to start the car, I don't need to know all about the engine. I don't care. Well, I like the engine, but most people don't care about the engine. And now it's got like computers in it, all kinds of stuff, right? So we like elegance, simplicity, and things that solve a problem fast, right? So what we're trying to solve the problem we're trying to solve is human connection, right? When someone is experiencing loss, they're going through a hard time, they need the house fixed quickly or the place of business fixed quickly, and they want to know that the person that they're employing they can trust. And then the next piece of the puzzle is transparency, shining light on everything. If you haven't already experienced this, you will. When you start taking your vehicle in to get service, now what they're doing is they're recording all the work they do. They say, hey, we changed your oil, check this out. Here's your filter, check this out. We put your air, and they have a whole video of the actual work. Because what has happened in the past is usually you sit in the little office, right? You wait for the car. You don't see anything unless they want to come out and upsell you. And then you're like, you don't know if they did the job, right? So
Mhm.
transparency for the customer builds ultimate trust. And so how we do that now is we have to use video, photos, live video to show people. And same thing goes with the restoration from first call in to last off the property and then a leave behind. We want to see for our customers to see that builds their trust, but then our teams to see, right? I want to know that the salesperson is not selling world peace if I've got to go on property and fix that, right? I want to know what we're selling is what we actually do, right? I want to know that the customer can afford what we do. I want to know, what's going on with all of my team members, right? I want to keep everyone accountable. And some people, oh, that's like Big Brother. I'm like, well, here's the thing. The employees will love it when it's the bank error in their favor, right? When the customer's like, your guy dinged my wall when they came and they fixed that. And you're like, let me check my instant replay. No, the wall dings were already there before we got on property, right? And then
Mhm.
your employee's like, see, I told you. Yep. We are giving you the NFL instant replay. Could you imagine if they took that away? People would go crazy in the NFL, right? So
Yeah.
now that we're bringing your NFL instant replay to your business, it changes everything.
It really does change everything. And I think it does play into transparency, right? It's not the he said, she said, or like there's no timestamp on this photo. I know that there's other technology that has timestamps and things like that. But if we're looking back at some of the problems we've faced in the past, this solution solves a lot of it, right? You could actually end up paying a lot of money for those dings in the wall, or maybe you ding their fridge, or maybe you ding their oven, or you didn't, but it looks like you did because, of course, they never noticed that, right? They don't notice things until something does happen in their place of work or their home, and they're having, a whole team come in to help fix the problem. And it's like, I don't remember seeing that. You guys must have done that. And they may have not even walked past that area either, right? So I think it does play a huge role in transparency and trust. And it also allows you guys to actually learn from lessons too. It's a good training piece, if I'm being quite honest. So it serves multiple purposes. I don't think it's a big brother thing. Obviously, if you had to utilize it that way, you could, but that's not what this is designed for. It's designed for customer peace of mind, also peace of mind for your team. And it just helps show the process from start to finish because I often like to say, we're telling a story, right? We're telling a story of, hey, this was the problem. This is what we proposed. We fixed said problem, and this is the outcome, right? So we have to tell that story in photos, video, documentation, and just to have that extra layer makes a world of difference, especially if it's even live, right? You said instant replay live. There's a variety of ways to utilize LiveSwitch. So that's huge. We need to understand that this is such a game changer for our industry and all industries, really. I mean, it makes a huge difference and it makes your communication with your customer that much easier and not as hard as it could be and as it used to be. So with technology generally comes a cost associated with it, right? There's a cost for your business. So how do you balance the cost of adapting new technology with the ROI it brings to the terms of efficiency, customer satisfaction, and competitive advantage? I know there's a lot of variables there, but I think that's one of the burning questions when someone has pitched technology these days, or really anything. What does it cost? How is this going to benefit my business? And how does this affect the customer experience and our advantage in the market?
Yeah, I like people to think about me when they're filling up their tank of gas. Okay, think about me there every time. Every time you're squeezing that gas, into your trucks, that's a lot of money. And last I checked, that keeps going up and up. So if we can solve trips out, callbacks, that alone, our stuff is very inexpensive. Like we're talking about $5 a day. Like again, that's why I said think about me. So because we serve so many industries, we don't like to juice every industry. Like I think sometimes software comes in and really they don't understand that there's a lot going on in a business. I have employee expenses, I have payroll, I have health coverage, I've got insurance. Like because I'm a small business owner, it's like you've got to understand your value, right? So first value is saving trips out, whether it's project managers, salespeople, callbacks, operations. That's one. You're going to get all your money back and more just from that alone. Okay. But the next point of value is the speed that we're talking about. Have you ever had someone call in for a quote? Maybe you didn't answer it. Maybe by the time you get back, oh, I already found somebody else. Or, hey, we can come out tomorrow. Oh, don't bother. I had someone else come out. You lost on speed. That's why you lost. All right. So being able for someone to call in, you send them a text, they tap it, and you're instantly on live video, connecting with them, and they're showing you the problem, right? You are now on quote unquote virtual property. You're the fastest one out there. No one's going to be faster than you, right? And then they're going to see you. Oh, this person is credible. They clearly know what they're talking about. And now we're recording everything so I can send that to my team as they head out on dispatch. And the customer doesn't have to repeat themselves. It's a better customer experience. And that's just the start. Once your team shows up, now they're going to do a pre-walk around where they're going to take a video of everything. If they're dealing with a project manager, now the project manager can see, like, hey, boss, you missed something. We're out here and there's a couple other pipes. Let me show you. Let me see that live. Great. Let me document that. Let me change the timeline and the budget because of that. Again, now we're on property, right? We're documenting everything. There's value there. That's the covering your backside. That's showing when you have to re-put up drywall. If you put up new piping or new electrical behind it, once you put a wall up, you kind of forget what you did, right? So it's nice to have that documented. At the end, a customer testimonial. They're actually going to be happy at the end. They're pissed in the beginning. It wasn't your fault, but they're happy in the end, right? Unless they call you back and say, hey, you missed something, or here's what's going on. Well, now back to the live. Show me rather than just hopping right in the truck. You want to see it first, make sure it's credible or worthy of going out, right? Because when you get those initial calls, some people don't really understand what the word restoration means, right? Oh, I've got a whole kitchen remodel I want to do. Well, we do restoration, like, have you ever driven out and they're like, oh, wait a second now, I don't have that kind of money. All right. So you're wanting to kind of protect that as well. And finally is your marketing and recurring revenue for future loss. There's a big thing of claiming property now. So we use QR codes, and you can put QR codes on a fridge magnet, on a 3x5, and you can leave it with corporations or with residences. Maybe there's a neighborhood you know and love. Now you can market to that and say, ever experiencing loss, scan this QR code, take a video of it, and we'll take a look at it. And that way, when you're having that first call, your team's already seen it, right? And now you're sticky. Like my electricians, they put it on the breaker box. My HVAC put it on the HVAC unit. Plumbers are putting it on the water tank, on the toilet. There is a race to claim property and business, especially if you're going after commercial clients. I know most of my restoration companies are, and maybe there's already an incumbent, somebody that they already use. Remember, back to speed. If their production line goes down, you say, hey, look, sounds like you're happy with who you have. But every now and then when you experience loss, if that cavalry isn't coming fast enough, can I just leave this, glossy behind and this QR code? You can just scan it and show us, and I'll send the cavalry. That way, every day of that you're not up and running. And so now you're coming in to take that business away. Same thing goes finally with emergencies and named storms, right? When that surge volume picks up, now instead of doing live calls, you're sending out text messages to everyone to quickly take videos of the loss. And then you're watching the videos and you're cherry picking the best jobs, right? So we're going from first call to operations to marketing to everything because of the cameras in your pocket.
Yeah, and I think you told a really beautiful story there, honestly. It's not just a one-dimensional tool. I think a lot of times when we're looking at technology or platforms, and this is even on the consumer side of things, we're all consumers, it's like, oh, this is really cool, but it only does one thing, right? Like, is that really going to help me? And I think you just told a beautiful story. Like, it does help you on a lot of aspects of your business, right? Not just from telling you what's going on, but it prepares your team to get there and talk to Mrs. Jones and already say, hey, we've already seen it. We just want to take a closer look at these couple of areas. Like, again, customers having to repeat themselves, they get really frustrated. Again, we wear that hat. How many times have we talked to like an automated call service and we're repeating ourselves? And it's like, just give me a live person, right? This alleviates that, right? One, they talked to somebody when they called, but they also were able to allow the video to be shot at that time. Team gets there, they're able to assess, and then after, like you said, there's a marketing piece to this that most people probably wouldn't think about being part of the opportunity utilizing technology. So I think that's really, really cool. And that right there, the ROI that you would receive from this, right? Because everybody's going to race towards like the bigger stuff, right? The natural disasters, like you said, named storms and things like that. But what about the people who are just like, oh, my usual person can't come out. Who do I call? It's there. They can, I mean, they don't have to look very far. It's already there for them. So that's really cool that you talked about that because I think QR codes are such a big thing. They're going to continue to grow. Again, ease of use, take your phone, point your camera at it, and all of the answers there right then and there once you select it. So I think that's really cool. So we've talked about a ton, and I wanted to kind of close with your advice because you've worn a couple of hats in your time in the trades. And what advice would you give to restoration startups about leveraging technology, not just for diagnostics, but also, like you just touched on, marketing, client education, and even post-job documentation?
Yeah. Especially if you're new and your startup, it's David versus Goliath, right? So how are you going to compete with the people that are number one in your area, right? First, like we talked about, it's speed. You want to be the first one on there. You race because customers will call multiple restoration companies. And if you get that call, first of all, pick up the phone. Okay, just pick up the phone. If you don't believe me, I go up on stages and I cold call those areas on stage live to see. And I've had it many times, 766 5-star reviews, it rings 9 times and it goes to voicemail. Then I go to the next one, goes to the AI agent. Then I go to the next one. I just want someone to pick up the phone. Okay. So if you're small, a competitive advantage is picking up that phone. Second is speed, right? Like we've been talking about. You got to get on there, right? Then it's the customer experience. Okay. Now everything we've been talking about, and then it's proactively getting ahead of them. Like what we're talking about, claiming those properties, getting those QR codes even before the loss, right? Because what you're doing by putting a QR code on property is you're preventing people from doing the natural step. Here's the natural step. You do it, I promise. And I know human nature is when something breaks, like the water heater, what do? We walk down to it. We look at it. I don't know a dang thing about water heaters, but I still go look at it. Just like if there's an accident on the other side of the highway, we all got to stop. I'm like, guys, it's on the other side of the highway. Hit the gas, man. Like, come on. So you want them when that restoration, that issue happens, that loss is happening. Oh, there's my QR code. It's preventing them from Googling restoration near me. They already have you. You get the first right. You're getting that, that video. They're pot committing themselves or seeing your phone number. You're getting the first shot. This is how David beats Goliath. You got to be ahead of the competition, ahead of the loss. Proactively, that there's probably going to be loss sometime in every house, in every neighborhood, in every emergency. Hey, if you're on the East Coast or the West Coast, right? Fires, you got floods, you got hurricanes. I think that happened. I live in Asheville. We just had that. I would have loved to have this QR code proactively there. So get ahead of them, right? That's what it's all about. And just because you're small doesn't mean you can't beat them all. Promise you. We all started small. And that's how I come and wipe the floor because usually the bigger they are, the slower they move.
Yeah, yeah, and I would definitely say to your point, proactiveness in all aspects of your business are huge, especially technology, especially getting your name in front of people. We talk a lot about proactiveness before hurricane season or fire season or whatever the case may be. But I think 2025 has truly proven, even late 2024 has truly proven that there's not really seasons anymore, if you will. Like things can happen, especially like to you guys, right, in Asheville. Like, oh, we're gonna get some rain, right? Like that was probably the thought process, like, oh, we're gonna get some rain. And little did you guys know, unfortunately, that the rain was just tremendous, right? And so, for you guys, we're not just talking about 5, 10 people affected. We're talking about thousands of people, right? And everybody at that instance needed help at that same time. And so, if your consumers are having to think about things, chances are they're going to go to Google. But if you've planted the seed and even just reached out just in general in the community, you're ahead to your point, and I think that's truly instrumental in your success, whether you're a little guy, a startup, maybe medium-sized business, right? Even the larger businesses, they are also, it's a cutthroat world up there for them too, right? And so they're always trying to find ways to be that next call. So I think we covered a ton today. I look forward to having you on again and talk about technology and just other things that you have dabbled in your past, and maybe in your future there may be some other things that you dabble in. You never know. But before we go, would you like to add any closing words to those listening?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, if you'd like to connect with me, I'm easy to get, right? So go to LinkedIn, look up James Hatfield LiveSwitch. You reach out to me, you'll get me. All right. I like to not farm you off. Happy to have the conversation. Or if you want to go to liveswitch.com, liveswitch.com, click demo. You can even ask for me. Hey, I heard Kayla and James. I want to talk to James. You got me. All right. I'll be happy to meet with anybody listening. And you're already 2 steps down the chessboard because you are listening. So what I'm going to challenge you to do, I bet nobody here will do it. I bet you won't do it. I bet you won't share this. Share it on LinkedIn. Like go to LinkedIn and say, hey, I listened to this. Share with your community, right? Sharing is caring. It's better to give than receive. I want to challenge everyone here to share this. Kayla's she's probably not making an empire, of money off of this. She's doing this because she cares about her industry. She's doing this because she wants to give back. She's bringing on credible people. So I think the least we can do is share. I'm going to share. Watch me. When this comes out, I'm going to share. Obviously, I'm on it, but I want to challenge you to do that for your industry, not for Kayla, for your industry. They need to hear this
Yeah,
stuff.
for sure. I thank you for that. I definitely would say this is for the industry and other trade industries, right? We also have connections outside of restoration, inspection, and cleaning that could benefit from this, right? I think it's extremely important to kind of mix our worlds, if you will, because at some point in time, we're going to need one another. And it's great when we're all on the same page, whether it's technology, processes, and procedures. It just is a beautiful thing. So I really want to say thank you so much, James, for coming on. I look forward to having you on again, like I mentioned. And for all of you watching, thank you for watching and take care. And we will see you on the next episode of Ask the Expert.